Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are the Boise State Solar Team from Boise State University, and this is our pitch and proposal for CSUN. Next slide, please. Before we get into our proposal and everything, a little quick team introduction. My name is Zach Brandt. To my side is Garrett Ness, and furthermore is Curtis Jepson. We are all senior electrical engineers here at Boise State University, set to graduate here in about a week. Next slide, please. Our constraints and goals for the project were to offset load from the campus by developing a solar plus storage system to produce a net goal or as close as we can to net zero by 2040. We're able to use rooftop solar, floating solar, and other solar elements in our proposal. The system cannot backfeed from the grid. And as far as the solar system goes, it has to recover 50% of the max load for up to 2 hours from Wedwood Hall, University Student Union, and Obiet Hall. Next slide, please. For our conceptual solar design, you will see in Figure 1, we included the campus boundary map with all 16 of our installations located there. All 16 locations are surrounded by a red box. To the right side of the figure, you will see a yellow box that is denoting our battery storage system and where we put that. In our proposal, we used almost 21,000 panels and over 450 inverters. In our proposal, we only used rooftop storage because we decided that it was the most effective way to implement our design. As far as choosing locations for our proposal, we considered sources in consideration such as shading and other HVAC and utility avoidances when we were doing our rooftop solar. Next slide, please.
So with our battery storage system, it has two main functions. The first function is that in the event of a power outage, our battery system will be able to cover 50% of Redwood Hall's, Oviatt Hall, and University Student Union buildings load for 2 hours. And another function is that it will save money with peak shaving during the months June to October. And so in Figure 2, you can see the campus's load data and how it has spikes in it. And in Figure 3, it shows a graph of our battery discharging and charging. And so the idea is that when there is a big spike, our battery will offset that load so that there isn't as high of a demand charge from the utility. Next slide, please. So for our total solar system, we have 16 individual systems, and these systems will be able to offset the total campus load by 47%, having a DC system size of 7,270 kilowatts, which will be able to provide 13,100 megawatt hours per year. And Figure 5 shows the sizes added up. Oh, could we go back?
Yes, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So this table shows the individual systems, and at the bottom of that table, G1 and G3, that stands for Group 1 and Group 3, which is where we combined some smaller buildings into one group to be each their individual system. Next slide, please. Here's a one-line diagram of our 16 solar systems, and 2 of these buildings in this diagram in the upper right corner, Redwood Hall and Oviatt Hall, they only have a battery connected to them for power outage. Next slide, please. So when adding renewable energy to a microgrid system such as this, it's important that we looked at if the voltage was able to be regulated. These issues can arise because, for example, solar panels, if a cloud comes over, they can turn on and off, and the system has to be able to respond to that and keep the voltage within the standards set by ANSI C84.1. And so in our figure shown, we simulated our system in OpenDSS using the provided model. And from that, we gathered there are no need for network upgrades based on the provided hosting capacity we have. Next slide, please.
Okay, so for financials, this project has a total NPV of $10.8 million, which can be looked at as CSUN's total net savings. We have an average PPA price of about 0.108 cents per kilowatt hour, which rivals LADWP's charge of an average of 15 cents per kilowatt hour. And then we have the cost of the battery system, which would be about $2.1 million, but that takes into account the total O&M costs and other costs over the 30 years. So that's $2.1 million over the entire 30 years. And then we have the peak shaving savings, which will save you about $0.9 million. That's reducing those peak demand costs. Next slide, please. Okay, so our development plan goes as follows. First, contact the LA local building department, which will then be assessed by said department and the governing body in which it applies to. We will submit a permit application to LA County, and then they will make corrections, and we will need to address those corrections and modify where it needs to be modified. Then we'll obtain necessary approvals, and we'll have construction inspections done. After that, the final inspection will happen with the approval, and we'll have access to utility interconnection and documentation files. So this project, we plan to have take about 43 weeks, and we suggest that it takes place during the summer months and weeks. That way students are not in school and they're not affected by, say, loud banging noises on the roofs of their dorm hall. Yeah, they just won't be affected. Next slide, please. These are permitting and codes that apply to our project. These are the most important ones. And so, yeah, there's a lot to read there. Next slide, please. So finally, our concluding points. CSUN wants to eliminate all greenhouse gas emissions by 2040 per their master plan. To do this, 20 megawatts DC of solar is going to be required to achieve this goal. We're able to propose a total campus load offset by 47%, and we do this by maximizing rooftop solar, avoiding historical buildings, which we researched, and fields. The only fields in the section we were given of CSUN seem to be building front lawns, which are not aesthetically pleasing to put solar on. And then we also avoided floating solar because there are no ponds or lakes in the section given to put any floating solar panels on. Also, batteries are going to be stored in the Student Union building to provide a central location for maintenance and upkeep. The batteries we chose are to be stored indoors, so we chose that. It is central to Redwood Hall and Oviatt Hall, so that should help construction. Next slide, please. Also, so this is our total proposal. We're going to be able to propose 7.7 megawatt DC system with that PPA price of about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Again, rivaling LADWP's charge of 15 cents per kilowatt hour. The storage system again costs $2.1 million, and we got that per NREL ATB standard costs, the workbook they have. And then the project has an NPV of $10.8 million. And then that peak saving of $0.9 million savings over the 30 years. Next slide, please. A couple suggestions that we had for this project that we found could help is to maybe allow more solar installation. To do this, reevaluate which historical buildings we can put solar on. So maybe like redoing roofs because we're doing rooftop solar. For example, OV or Oviatt Hall can have 923.3 kilowatts DC installed on top of it, and Redwood Hall can have 1,065.8 kilowatts DC. So that's almost 2 megawatts DC that we can add to this project. That gets you to about 10 megawatts DC. But since they're historical buildings, solar cannot be added in our eyes. Also, battery system. Peak shave all months of the year, so you're getting the full use of those batteries. And that's our proposal. Thank you guys for your time.